we're gradually approaching a food crisis, not just in the States, but nationally as well. Yesterday, I talked about the slow growth projections rates that the World Bank gave for Nigeria, 2.9%. That's worrying for the entire country. How much more the different states? So it's going to go beyond just coming out to tell us that this is who is responsible, but you've not taken, steps to address these concerns. Otherwise, we could wake up one day and crayfish is being sold for 500 now for a little sack. And believe me or not, we're gradually approaching that level.
Well, as it stands, we are not just gradually moving towards food insecurity in Akwa Ibom State and in Nigeria. We are almost there because over 5 United Nations agencies have called for urgent action to protect the vulnerable children in Nigeria as well as people living beneath or below the income level. And they've told us that if cares are not taken, Nigeria might be hitting into one of its worst food crises ever in the history of the nation. I know that when we see statements and advisories like this from foreign agencies, the federal government will always come out to say they are trying to pressure the people of Nigeria and stating facts that are not obvious. But if you have to relate that to Akwa Ibom State and the issue of fuel hike, you would recall that before now we were told by the SA on petroleum matters, Mr. Tefia, that the state government had purchased over 1.5 million liters of fuel to cushion the effect. And shortly after he told us that, it was discovered that even his own personal filling station were dispensing the product above the government template. And of course, it took the shutting down of that, one of his filling station, and yet we're still not seeing a significant increase across Akwa Ibom State. Yes, I know yesterday, longer back road, I've noticed some filling stations have begun to dispense the product at the government-approved prices. But then, in Akwa Ibom State, the big questions on the streets of Rio, the big questions across the different streets in Akwa Ibom State, Rio, correct Panoran, is, will we always wait for federal government agencies to act in Akwa Ibom State before actions are seen, before rules and guidelines are obeyed? What is the agent of the state government doing when you find people who are saddled with these responsibilities shying away from taking the needed actions just because they themselves are guilty of the crime or the sins that they are supposed to kick against? They find it very difficult to enforce the law. In the issue of Etefia, it was the fact that his filling station was selling above the pump price. Now, in the issue of the SA, we are yet to see why he has not come out or he has not, clamped down on the different persons who are responsible for this market unionism. Because even in Gary, it will surprise you to know that if you step into the market today to buy Gary, say, for a costed rubber for 1,000 naira, going back 2 days after, you find the same costed rubber selling for 1,200 naira. And then you ask the question, there has been no significant increase in fuel price. Let's say, okay, we are still talking hike, 300 naira. As of then, the same week, 300 naira, the same fuel, 300 naira, yet there is an extra addition of 200 naira added to a costed measurement of Gary. Why? Because the union just sit down and say, you know what, we've sold for 1,000 naira for XYZ. Now let's add 200 naira. And it keeps going on. And because there is no regulation in Nigeria, there is no government agency that is trying its best to enforce the fact that you do not just wake up like we see in Senaclems to increase the food prices. You have to, there are ways these things are done in Senaclems.
I definitely agree. Nigeria is a country where we tend to frame policies, but implementation has always been a problem over the years, and it's getting to affect us as we see it. But then the government needs to take the initiative to address the concerns. I mean, we can't cry over spilled milk. We're already feeling the effects of the high cost of food prices, petrol products across the country, and several other things that have, led to increased hardship on the part of the citizens. And it's never been this bad before. Yes, you could say Nigeria has been in a recession before. We've not slid into recession yet. And this is what we're going through. And the World Bank is already projecting that the rest of the world could slid into a recession between 2023 or 2024. So what is Nigeria doing to prepare for the rough days ahead? We're doing very little. We've been preaching diversification over the years. Everyone says, yes, agriculture is equally a natural gold mine. Let's invest in it. But how many states have actually been able to diversify through agriculture and have it thoroughly sustained? All we're seeing are people commissioning several plants projects and other agricultural projects that you can think of. that I think is just for funfair or for the public watch. But in terms of reality, we've seen little or nothing to show that money has been invested in the agricultural sector and that people are benefiting from it. I don't want to delve into the age-long argument about the different agricultural investments that the Akwa Ibom State government has initiated, from the coconut refinery, tomatoes, the rice mill, and several others. People will definitely raise the question as to where these produce are actually seen in the Akwa Ibom market. Because if the SA is blaming the unions for stepping up prices of food products, if, for instance, you give an instance of Gary being sold for 1,000 naira with a custard pill, then the next day you go, you're being told 1.2 or 1.5. And then you have a state government that has said it has invested keenly in agriculture with Gary, precisely, with processing factories in different places across the state. So why are we having less of the products in the market if the government is actually producing them on a daily basis? So sometimes when the government says people tend to spew up lies against them, it's not because people hate the government to say. If you're telling us that you have these things in place, we just want to see them. It's the same thing. What about the tomatoes? Are they in the market? I think I tried to buy it a few days ago, and I was so alarmed at the price and the quantity as well. It was shocking. And then the seller would simply tell you, well, the prices have stepped up. We too have to step up ours. And then you have a state where the government has a tomato plant in different plantations in different places across the state. And yet, we're not having the product in the market. So it's worrying. We need to see them. Coconut as well. We have a coconut refinery here in the state. How many of them have we seen in the market? So before the government or the aides of the government would come out to say people are actually criticizing for no just cause, they have reasons to, because we have a food crisis on our hands now, and yet we're not seeing products that the state government has said are actually on ground influencing the market. Otherwise, why will an aide to the government come out to blame the people? Because whether you like it or not, we could be talking about unionism. Who makes up the union? It's the people. So you're blaming the people for the food crisis that the state is currently undergoing, whereas year in, year out, there's money voted towards the agricultural sector courtesy of our budget, and yet we're not seeing anything on ground. For me, it's quite worrying.
Well, it's still a worrying situation, and of course, it takes me back to the time when Nigerians were complaining about the price of rice, which of course is still a very big problem. And then we saw a rice pyramid sometime last year being set up by the federal government, and shortly after that, we were told that Nigerians will begin to export rice to Egypt and other foreign nations. Yet in Nigeria, finding rice seemed to have been a Herculean task, and of course, to avoid being able to eat rice became a very big problem. And now we're talking about a bag of rice selling for more than 40,000 naira, even for the local rice. So, in a country that we are in, it seems that the government is having misplaced priorities, and it seems that the government is fond of chasing clouds. It seems that more interested in doing things that we cannot visibly see the impact on the lives of the people, yet we want to show face to the rest of the world that, we have been significantly being able to do something with our collected resources. But it's about time, and particularly back here in Akwa Ibom State, words on the street, words from Akwa Ibomites, like it was expressed yesterday, is the Akwa Ibom people want to hear this. Tell us, if you've identified that unionism is the problem, who are those forming the unions? Who are these unions answerable to? In the respective markets, what has the government done to put a stop to the activities and exploitations of these different unions and the people of Akwa Ibom State? Until you tell Akwa Ibom people those answers, until you tell us what measures have been put in place and implemented, because it is one thing for measures to be put in place, it is one thing for policies to be made, it's another thing for the government to implement those policies. If the government has made policies and has implemented those policies, then we should see persons prosecuted for it. If the government says an end to unionism, let's say there is a regulation of food prices, and of course, those things we also know has to be in line with the present day's reality. But if there are people going against governments, or that if there are people stepping out of line, we should see people going in for it to serve as a deterrent to others who are also planning to exploit the Akwa Ibom people. Yes, we know in the issue of fuel hike, a couple of filling stations had to be sealed off before people now began to sell fuel. at the pump price that has been stipulated by the government. Do we always have to sit down and wait for that? And it's about time government officials also know that Akwa Ibom people are not blind, that we are very well educated and very well knowledgeable to understand the different handwritings on the wall. It's about time you rise up to your responsibility. That is the call from Akwa Ibom people. That is the call from the streets of Akwa Ibom people. And of course, until you do that, then it can be said, as said in some quarters, that you have failed in your duties. As one of our parliamentarians said yesterday, sometimes the governor is not to be blamed for these things, but the Akwa Ibom people. And of course, we know when the situation is dicey, when things fail, the blame will always go to the number one leader. So the governor might be getting kicked, might be getting criticized because the people working with him, the people he has appointed and entrusted the respective responsibilities, have failed to act. We'll just take some of the comments and reactions from parliamentarians. Welcome one phone call before we head out for our first recess. Hello, good morning. Welcome to the plenary. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. This is Peter calling from.
All right, welcome to the plenary.
Yes, in terms of this unionism in the market, I believe government is aware of these things. Because if they are not aware, they should have wiped out all those things. Because how can a woman plan even water leaves from his veranda, taking to the marketing, they tell the woman to come and join union. If you come to this like it's all about market now, they schedule their plan of selling something like fish, all these ice fish. You see two people, only two people, the whole of the market, so that they can bring out the height of the prices. Likewise in Ita. So this thing, government knows where they are going. They're supposed to wipe out all these things. Like Derek, if they will sell, only two people will sell today, only three people will sell tomorrow. That is not bringing good thing in this country. So they should look after that one. That is on the market is aware of those things. So they should find where sanitize all those things so that this government will do. Today they do this one is not good, this one is not good. But we are the people that consume everything because of that. Thank you for having me.
All right, many thanks for joining us. We're going to take a quick pause here and head out to bring you the news on the hour of 9. When we come back, of course, the People's Parliament will continue. Please stay with us.
right direction. She told me I couldn't make a better decision.
I dey work out wella and I dey chop better food. But that one no mean say you no fit do you. Everyone looks up to me as the leader of my community. I took the COVID-19 vaccine with excitement.
I took the vaccine to protect myself and those who are around me. I must be alive to take care of my family. I have taken my 3 doses of the COVID-19 vaccine.
I did it for love. Protect yourself, family, friends, and community from COVID-19. Get vaccinated sharply.
Do it for love.
Do it for love.
Do it for love. The People's Parliament is brought to you courtesy of JIA Outdoor Services. JIA Outdoor Services, a member of the Mbarukas Group, owns and manages billboards and advertising services in and outside Akwa Ibom State. Why not visit them today or call this number 0803-741-2340. JIA Outdoor Services, a member of the Mbarukas Group.
Lady Mikuri Bumbume, Nyamorua, the Tansu 102.7 FM, Kuru Tamikom, Ikuitabe Pupuba, Tune, Itaika, Ikupu, Head Usoke. Dede, Ikuitabe Pupuba, Tune, Itaita, Ikupu, Head Usoke. Tansu 102.7 FM, Ekene Tang.
Welcome back. This is your boy Blaze, and I'm here with Mr. Jason, our social media expert, and he just told us why the COVID-19 vaccines have issues. Mr. Jason, is it possible to... Oh, sorry. Looks like we have a... Hello?
My name is Chloe.
Hi, Chloe.
My question is to your guest.
Please go ahead.
Where did you get all this information about the COVID-19 vaccine from?
Well, you know, as an influencer with over 500,000 followers, I have access to various blogs and pages.
Wait a minute. From blogs?
Of course.
Uncle Presenter, you said you shock, Abby. Mr. Jason, you be doctor. Are those blogs run by the NCDC, WHO, or MPHCDA?
Well, I mean, no, but I mean,
Stop sharing lies about the COVID-19 vaccines. You're putting lives in danger.
Authentic info on the COVID-19 vaccines can be got from the WHO, NCDC, and MPHCDA websites. So, protect yourself, family, friends, and community from COVID-19. Get vaccinated sharply.
Do it for love.
Do it for love.
Do it for love.
You fit to buy your phone today and you go pay later. iPhones today, both new ones and not used ones. Samsung phones today, Tecno, Itel, Oppo, Infinix, Redmi, Nokia, and other latest phones and accessories, music box, laptop, liquid screen guard for to protect your phone from breakage. Them they repair phones, so both software and hardware with the home delivery services within Uyo, Divine Ugo Communication. For anything we concern phones and accessories, you must have join to confirm Divine Ugo Communication. Them day for number 1 Ikote Mini Road, opposite Ibom Plaza, Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, or make you call 080-680-93884 or 090-923-12971. Our shop they open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. from Monday go reach Saturday.
But we started up with concerns around the estate governor on trade matters, who was slammed insecurity and unionism in Akwa Ibom State as being responsible for the price of the food hike in Akwa Ibom State. We'll be hoping to get your reactions and take to this development and who you feel is largely responsible for the state of things in the state at the moment. And it's been an interesting discussion going on our Facebook page as well. We're hoping to get live feeds on the show here, but let's quickly go through to Facebook and check out what you've been saying with regards to the discussion we are having this morning. All right, let's start off with parliamentarian Hope Umoh Jr. He says anything illegal has a negative effect on the environment. The illegal motor parks should be shut down. The rates at which ticketing is done should be watched, as it affects the transport system, especially within the states. The SA should use its office to proffer solution to the hiking prices rather than trade blame games. What has he done to the unions that are influencing the market prices? Extension of the deadline is impressive. It will increase the number of voters come 2023. And quickly, INEC and Sandy says, good morning, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, the House Leader and other parliamentarians. Mr. Speaker, the hiking foodstuff in Akwa Ibom State is portraying the state in a bad light, even with the huge investment the state government has done in the agricultural sector. So I ask, what will it take to dissolve all those unions? Because the unions, to me, are formed to benefit few individuals. So can't the government step in and salvage the poor masses from this suffering? Right, quite interesting. And it says on the extension of PVC collection by INEC, it shows that they want good participation in the election, and I commend them. All right, I think I got the last part of your message quite misconstrued, but good points anyway raised, Mr. Speaker.
All right, let's get to welcome Mo from the phone lines. Hello, good morning. Welcome to the plenary.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Speaker.
Good morning.
Good morning, the leader.
Yes, good morning to you.
The Parliament.
Good morning, welcome.
God bless you for a nice job you are doing.
God bless you too.
I'm calling from you. I want to say on the issue of the hike in food Mr. Speaker, all these the governor, they are there for their selfish interest. They are there for themselves. They are there for political compensation. The other time, the petroleum, they enter on petroleum into the studio and say that why they always create their work before 9 o'clock because of insecurity. And they enter to the governor on trade and market matter. How they say that it is because of insecurity and unionism in Akwa Ibom State that caused the food hike in Akwa Ibom. Mr. Speaker, these people are not working for the good people of Akwa Ibom State. They are there for their selfish interests. They are there for themselves. They are there for their family. Mr. Speaker, I want to say that people are suffering in Akwa Ibom State. People are suffering. People are suffering. When you have people like that in the government, they don't care about discussing the problem of food hike. It's only on how to the council in Akwa Ibom State. But these people are not working for Akwa Ibom people. Speaker, I want to appreciate the INEC for the extension of the collection of I say it is a welcome development.
All right,
because Speaker, I am calling on all Akwa Ibom people to prepare their people to vote the right people to govern Akwa Ibom. They are suffering. Look at the on petroleum. It says above the dump price. So, Mr. President, I say that God will bring up a good leader who will be able to look at the problems of Akwa Ibom State and Akwa Ibom.
Many thanks for joining us. Very well said there. The Akwa Ibom need a good leader going forward. Hello, good morning. Welcome to the plenary. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, everyone in the studio and other parliamentarians.
Yes, good morning.
It's good to be back. Happy New Year to everyone. I'm Comrade Nemesis Striker. Mr. Speaker, we are looking at the order paper this morning.
All right, parliamentarian striker, before you progress, let me, since this is your first time joining us, we have Raymond Ita as the House Leader.
Okay, Raymond, good morning.
Yes, good morning to you.
Yes,
Welcome.
All right, go ahead.
I traveled out of the state since last year. I came back yesterday, so it's good to have those developments.
All right, welcome back. I hope you bought abroad bread and came back for parliamentarians.
Yes, I think I will give one cup of rice to everyone.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. The extension of time for the ongoing collection of permanent voters cards by INEC is a welcome development, because it will assist many Nigerians to get their PVCs because of this extension of time. Therefore, I want to call on Nigerians who are yet to collect their PVC to use this window of opportunity presented by INEC and do so. Because, Mr. Speaker, many people who are shouting and arguing on the street about who will become the next governor or the next president, many of them do not have a voter card. Therefore, INEC should also make the process of collecting this PVC easy and less cumbersome for Nigerians, because this is very, very important. Finally, for the agent to the governor on trade to claim that unionism and insecurity is the reason for increase in prices of food items, I think I cannot understand that reason. I'm a trade unionist. I don't understand why unionism is causing. So I think he should come to the media and explain further. I'm Comrade in the Messenger Fan Striker. Once again, Happy New Year to everyone.
Happy New Year to you. Many thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker.
Hello, good morning, parliamentarian.
And good morning, my brother in the studio.
Yes, good morning to you.
This is Labo calling from Uyo. I want to thank the Congress in the Messenger Fan Striker, that is your Akwa Ibom State. And I'm happy to hear his voice today in Planet, and I'm happy to hear his voice in Comfort FM. That is well done work for him. In the issue of the policies, Mr. Speaker, you can remember that our governor wants the speaker of the petroleum as a commissioner in Akwa Ibom State. Now, all the states are returning back to normal petroleum pump price that the federal government has. But Akwa Ibom State refused to return back. If our governor was appointed as somebody that does not have any television or does not have any business about television, they will be shouting that why did you go and appoint that kind of a person that is supposed to appoint somebody that knows the business, that's good to do. Now he has decided to appoint that kind of a person. Now he cannot able to use that office and work very well. For me, if I was a governor, I would have decided to tell him to go back and appoint another person that is able to work for the benefit of people, not somebody that is working for his own pocket and his own family. We don't need that kind of a person. Look at, we are still suffering by 300, and in all civilization, it's called 300 naira. Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, can you see the kind of suffering that we are going through? And look at the Commission of Marketing. He cannot do his own work, and he's complaining that it's because of the security or whatever. So these people are not going for the people. They are going for their own selfish and interest. That is what they are going for. The next one, we are continuing to suffering, and we are suffering. Look at other states. They are still for number price. And this time, Akwa Ibom State are still suffering. So what are we going to do? So that's my take this morning. Thank you very much.
All right, many thanks for joining us. And of course, there still begs for question. And it's left for you to tell us how you feel about these different things playing out in Akwa Ibom State. And now coming back to you, the House Leader, for some more comments on our Facebook page.
Yes, a lot of comments that we're getting from our Facebook page in reaction to the stories we're looking at this morning. This one is coming from Udemega Ebu. And it says, Mr. Speaker and the House Leader, Akwa Ibom people have been complaining of unions being the major reason why food prices are surging on daily basis in the market. But the same essay always refutes it. Now is alluding to the fact, and it's unfortunate that government who are supposed to look at these issues are adamant and allow people to be exploited by disgruntled elements. On the dates for collection of PVC being extended, it's a good news. Sincerely, people are really eager and willing to collect their PVCs, but the process of getting it is very slow, so INEC must double up. Thank you. Parliamentarian Idaresit in UNAM says, good morning, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, the House Leader and other parliamentarians. Mr. Speaker, we cry out loud for help against too much tickets in Akwa Ibom State, because it also contributes to the hike in price of foodstuffs. The union of a thing in the market, especially Akban and them, is another problem to the people, because people who have foodstuffs take it to the market and change it for another thing, and are not allowed to sell their goods, which is not good at all. All right. It says INEC have done much for extending the date of collection of PVCs. Please, no shishi for bribe in the upcoming elections. We are the voice of our own. Thank you indeed. Let's take one more before we get back to discussion. Say good morning, Mr. Speaker. The essay to the Akwa Ibom State Governor on Trade should stop the blame game and get to work. Is the essay telling us that unionism is more stronger than the government? His complaint is dismissible and lacks integrity. INEC's extension of PVC is a welcome development, but they should also make the collection process easy for Nigerians. I quite agree.
All right, more contributions from parliament. Please walk away from your phone when you call us. Rather, walk away from your radio set when you connect so that we can get to hear you, please. Hello, good morning. Welcome to the plenary.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker.
Welcome.
This is Akwa Ibom State.
All right, welcome, parliamentarian. I'd like to introduce the House Leader, Mr. Raymond Ita.
Thank God for the House Leader returning back.
Good morning to you. Thank
God
you.
bless you. God bless you indeed.
Amen. Bless you too.
Together we will win the war of getting back what belongs to us. God has blessed us so much as a people that we are being robbed. I'm telling the truth. Just back from Abuja, I know what's going on there. I don't know, just funnily, I just entered into one of the presidential campaign office of one of the political parties. I saw what was happening there. They didn't even know who I am. I didn't even care to know who are there, but I just went inside and because these people know they are distributing goodies with their different goods. People are not interested in whether people are hungry or people are suffering. They want to have their own way. It won't happen this time, my brother, my sister. I want to let you know only the will of God must be done, starting from Akwa Ibom State. Nobody will just be a governor or anybody who can be a governor. No. Only the will of God must be done in this state, must be done in Nigeria, must be done in our generation. That's why I said that is not a political slogan. It's a regulation which will revolutionize things from starting from Akwa Ibom. It's a pity that the will of God was for Akwa Ibom to lead the world. But now they still want to do things the way they want it. No, it will not happen. This time around, only the will of God will rule in this state. No matter who that person is, when we want things to go his or her own way, it will not happen. So let us pray more. Return back to God and ask him to help us. Like Gideon went to the bush. He didn't go to even a worship center. He went to the bush and asked God, why are things like this in our generation? When God changed things, I tell you, my brothers and sisters, God is going to change things in this place. And you know, this Akwa, God bless you.
All right, many thanks for joining us, and God will change things for us.
I wanted to say there was no worship center in biblical times. Maybe Gideon would have gone to one because the house went to the bush.
Well, there were temples in those days, and of course that could serve as a worship ground for the people.
Not an international one.
Yes, not an international one. But let's walk away from that into the very first motion that we had. Now, yesterday, while I was returning from work, I had conversations with keke riders and minibus drivers in Akwa Ibom State, in Uyo particularly, and I couldn't help but hear the lamentations and the cries and the sighs that came out from them as a result of what they are facing from what you would call street boys, who are the operators of illegal parks from around Ikpa just beside Unio to just beside Udi Street to other parts of Akwa Ibom State where you have these illegal parks. I recall having conversation with somebody a day before in the back, and I was told that the fare in prices of transportation from a back to you differs almost on a daily basis, because the operators of the illegal parks will tell you we have to pay XYZ to XYZ in government coffers or within the ranks and files of government, and so they keep increasing what they charge to the motorists who are using these illegal parks to load. Now, the big challenge Akwa Ibomites are asking, During the Obasanjo's administration, there were well-constructed parks across the length and breadth of Akwa Ibom State. We have the Ibom Park, we have the AKTC Park, we have the one at Mbiabo, and if we had to have motor parks and bus stops where minibuses and tricycles can stop and pick people, this ought to be operated by government officials and government-approved agents. But what we are seeing are touts harassing the transporters, harassing, sometimes endangering the lives of the passengers. I've personally had a situation where I nearly fought with a street guy because in the course of trying to get money from the keke, he didn't care to know that there were people inside the keke and the keke was moving and he was struggling with steering with the keke rider.
It's quite disturbing, you know, the issue of illegal ticketing parks, and in fact that the entire transportation sector in Akwa Ibom State needs a major and a massive overhaul. Of course, we have the Ministry of Transport in the state, and sometimes I tend to commend them for the initiatives they bring to bear over the years. But sometimes most of these policies do not work. And what do? You call for a revamp, a complete overhaul of the modus operandi. But it seems like, we just allow things to be swept under the carpet and pretend that nothing is happening. I give you a vivid example of what is happening that should not be. If you start from Akar Road, where you have UBA, you have a park there, or a makeshift park. That place should not even be a park, for crying out loud. In front of a banking premises, you're having people loading Uyo to Eket. Now move away from there, get towards Akar Road by IBB. You have two different parks. One goes into IBB just before the Ibom Hall grounds. You have another park there, also loading Eket. Right after there, move away from there, still on Akar Road, just before you get to Akar Junction. You have another park standing there, also loading from Uyo to Eket. You move a bit further, going towards Ngoku. You now have a park there.
The main park, that's the main park.
Equally loading Uyo to Eket. Then by the time you get to Nodo Junction, you would have had two other parks along the road by the wayside, equally loading for the same purpose. Some of them are managed. The only park I know, it's the one where you've just said it's the main park at Noku. But how come we have the other parks along the wayside in broad daylight still loading, even when the state governments have severally come out to say illegal parks should stop operating or loading or picking people along the road? So they just came out to say these things, but there's no one effecting it. We have tax forces, but it looks like the tax force are only concerned with issues of ticketing and harassing bus drivers or KK drivers. That's the only time you see a tax force being active. And then sometimes I look at the persons who constitute this tax force. Yes, these are avenues where you could get to take people off the street with reference to reducing unemployment, because some of these persons are those who do not have a job, so things to do to fend for themselves. So they ordinarily would make do with an opportunity to work in a constituted tax force set up by the state government through the Ministry of Transport. But what kind of persons do you deploy to handle responsibilities like this, knowing they would be interfacing with the public on a daily basis? As you pointed out, yes, it was the driver he had that scuffle with, but there were passengers equally inside the tricycle. So did he consider that he was endangering the lives of the persons boarding the tricycle at that point? I don't think he actually thought about that. So it's a worry for me, and if nothing is done about it, we'll continue seeing things like this happen. It also boils down to the cost of transportation fare. I've just cited about 6 different places loading from Uyo to Eket on Akar Road, and each of them seems to have varying prices.
Yes, definitely, they do.
Yeah, maybe some would say it's fine. If you go to a one that bought maybe 400 now, you say, well, that distance is cheap. Yes, it could sound cheap, but in reality, it's not supposed to happen. I mean, how can you stand on the roadside to, constitute a park all of a sudden? And it's a nuisance for me, first. It's a public nuisance. And secondly, for me, it's another way of extortion, because people get to have to pay what they should not pay. And I don't even want to talk about safety on the roads, because most of those drivers tend to be careless. I'm not trying to say this to, in quote, ruin someone's business, so to say. But the truth has to be said. And if the state government does not do anything about it, we'll continue having this complaint. And the so-called tout whom we employ as so-called tax force will only stay there to, increase their pocket and reach their private pocket. And I also understand some of them are actually meeting targets. And who are the persons that are setting up these targets? So you have people place the designated place, and you're told this is the amount of money you have to return today or this week. And if you do not do that, your risk being kicked out of there. So it looks like it's a business that is going on where a few persons have their pockets enriched at the expense of the public, and I think it should be stopped.
Well, that's the thoughts of Nigerians, Akwa Ibom, particularly on this issue. But we'll take a quick pause here and go on a short commercial break. When we come back, we'll be opening the phone lines for more conversations and, of course, entertaining more comments on our Facebook page. Please stay with us.
Let's come together and celebrate life. Capital Luxury Music presents Arise Concert 2023 in loving memory and honor of the late Dr. Monday Odojong. Headline stars and celebrities to storm the stage includes Port Harcourt's first son, Duncan Mighty. The 90s Nigerian superstar Alex O. With Akwa Ibom's musical sensation, Ita. Other headliners include Aviva.
To continue having these conversations with you, since we are talking about the price in food prices that has greeted the Akwa Ibom people, and the SA Power Idurian Raphael has come out to tell us that some issues, insecurities, unionism, and others have been responsible. And of course, it still boils down to government policies and implementation in Akwa Ibom State. I mean, Akwa Ibom State is not the only state in Nigeria, so why can't we have it a lot less stressful, a lot easier, just like we see in other states. Let's get to hear your thoughts on these. And of course, the issue where the INEC has extended the collection of PVC deadline by 8 days, and that is going to end on the 29th of January. So you still have from now till the 29th of January to go to your respective wards and local government to collect your PVC from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Sunday through Sunday. There is no day that has been taken out. So from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Take care of the time zone that has been given. Don't go earlier and don't go later than the time frame that has been given, so that you won't begin to come and tell us you didn't find INEC officials at their designated point. And of course, we also had an extensive discourse on the illegal parks and what they are causing to transportation fare, and of course to the security of lives and properties in Akwa Ibom State. Hello, good morning. Welcome to the plenary.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, parliamentarian.
Let me get that.
Yes, good morning. Welcome to the plenary.
Good morning. Leader, good morning.
Yes, good morning to you. Welcome to plenary.
I'm Victor from you.
All right, go ahead. You have the floor.
What I want to say is that the government can prescribe cultism. Then does it mean that government doesn't have power to prescribe unionism in the market so that things will flow easily? That's the question.
All right, thanks for joining us. Well, as you've asked us a question, and in as much as I would have loved for a government official to do that, we already know that government has the power to do whatever it wants to do when there is a political will and the people in government are sincere to their purpose.
He asked a very sensitive question, whether they cannot prescribe. Prescription of a group has to come with certain procedures,
legal backings and laws.
Exactly. So it's not going to be easy because unionism is backed by law equally. I mean, there are labor unions like the TUC, obviously the Trade Union Congress, the Nigerian Labour Congress, and all of that, who actually back the activities of unionist and trade groups across the country. So it's not going to be easy, for the government to prescribe the activities of unions. But with respect to the crux of the matter, which is effecting a change in the prices of food commodities here in the state, which has been unnecessarily inflated by these unionists, yes, the government can actually effect a change in that regard by saying, we want foodstuffs and produce to be sold at this cost, but it's a give and take. What is the government doing, on the other hand, to ensure that these traders themselves do not also feel the brunt of the hardship that has been, occasioned on Nigerians? Because when we say Nigerians are struggling, those within the trading business are also struggling. Yes, there are traders. They need to make ends meet by selling their foodstuffs and wares. So they're also feeling the brunt of the hardship that has been occasioned on Nigerians by the poorer state of our economy. So we can't just say, I did mention earlier on, what makes up the union? It's the people. It's still people like you and I. So the government cannot prescribe unionism, but they can actually, carry out some checks and balances with reference or with regards to their activities here in the States.
All right, let's get to hear more from parliamentarians. Hello, good morning. Welcome.
Hello.
Good morning.
This is Tom, you're calling from your planet.
Welcome to the plenary.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Welcome to plenary.
Hello.
Good morning, parliamentarian. Welcome to the plenary.
Good morning.
Go ahead. We can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, this is Sam, you're calling from your planet. Mr. Speaker, I want to talk about the food price in Akwa Ibom State and other things. We do not vote for to the governor on the trade matters. We do not vote for any commissioner, but we vote for the Governor Udo Emmanuel. So this administration is called for Governor Udo Emmanuel administration, not to the governor. So the governor should stand up and do something for the people of this state, because all of us, we voted for him. You look at the credentials he brings to the school. And we supported him. We know that this person will perform for the Akwa Ibom State. But today what we are saying is a reverse. So the governor should stand up. If you listen to radio and listen to other platforms, they see, you can see how people are suffering. Thank you.
All right, thank you for joining us this morning. Well, as stated by that parliamentarian, it is the Governor Odom Emmanuel-led administration. So the good, the success, the achievement goes down to him. And of course, the slap, the criticism, and all this still goes back to him. So when his foot soldiers are doing well, he takes the praise and commendation. When they are doing bad, he takes the blame. It's about time for them to know that whatever they do rubs up on the person of the governor, and of course, take their responsibility serious. Hello, good morning. Welcome to the plenary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, lady of the house.
Yes, good morning. Welcome.
Thank God it's Friday. Thank God it's Friday. Mr. Speaker, this is Friday, calling on a Friday for Medianism.
Welcome.
Let me quickly talk about the, as the last caller said. Mr. Speaker, when our governor went to contest, we go around every year and campaigning. But now this is a time to put in practice. Our governor cannot touch all the place that they went for campaigning again and solve their problem. But I only know that this happening is because of, like you said, the multiple path and the field hack and so many problems we have. Mr. Speaker, they use this to settle those bills that normally cause problems in election day. That is my own understanding. Because I cannot see when our governor, former governor, Victor Ita, has there so many packs in every location that will take people to where they are going. And the state will be according to the law. There are people out loading on every way in the highway and causing problems, entering people clinical and causing accidents in the name of so many taxation. So it's not fair. I know that they use this to settle those boys. So I want to urge all our tribal might that this year that we are going to elect on our new leaders, they should look for a person who come to them, to the award or the local government, and talk to them and they ask questions. Keep their records so that we will hold them accountable on our way forward. Thank you. God bless you people. Thank you.
All right, many thanks for joining us. And of course, we can't say enough about voting right. Back to you, the House Leader, for some more comments before we excuse you to other responsibilities.
Yes, the conversation is heating up on our Facebook page as well. And this one's coming from Ozo Francis Namani. It says, is watching live on our Facebook page from Amagunze in Enugu State. Good morning, Mr. Speaker. Kudos to INEC for extending the deadline for PVC collection to January 29. It's a welcome move. I'm therefore calling on those who have not collected their PVCs to endeavor to do so as soon as possible, because this is the only tool with which one can decide and exercise their franchise. As teaching time saves 9. May God help us. Thank you very much, Ozo. Parliamentarian Edet Mudoka says, good morning, Mr. Speaker. The extension of PVC collection by INEC to 8 days is a welcome development. My concern, I went for the collection of my PVC yesterday because the old one, for a new PVC yesterday, because the old one was defaced in my ward in Toedino 4 in Obodokara local government area. The officials checked the new PVCs with them. Mine was nowhere to be found. I'm hoping when I get to INEC office in our LGA, I should see mine. Let's hope so too. Mayor Basiadem says, good morning, Mr. Speaker. Government authorities should look into the activities of street boys along Ikpa Road by Unio, former First Gate. There is a group of people there who are disguising themselves to exploit passers-by, and it's very embarrassing just coming into you to be embarrassed by street boys. Okay, it says it's annoying and provoking. There should be a police station at the pedestrian bridge to curtail crime and protect the Ibomites along Ikpa Road. Okay, it's quite a hot spot, I think, that's been identified over the years as a place where criminal elements carry out certain vices, and I think it's a plea that the government should equally look into, because we have a university, it's a university community. There's a lot of people coming in and out, so security should indeed be paramount.
Well, I know that just by the roundabout, there is a police van. Oftentimes are being stationed there, so please, maybe the police need to check the location of the police van being stationed. Let's hear more from parliamentarians. Hello, good morning. Welcome to the plenary.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker.
Good morning.
Good morning, the Leader of the Parliament.
Yes, good morning.
Yes, I am the first Kenyan coming from Ojo. Mr. Leader has not given me a drink as the Leader of the Parliament since you emerged as the Leader of the first celebration.
I'm still expecting that.
I think it's about time I call you out. So you're yet to give parliamentarians the Christmas and New Year rise that you.
Mr. Speaker, just to add to what the Snapman Striker has said, he has promised to give one cup, and I will add another cup to make it 2 cups to all parliamentarians.
All right, go ahead.
Mr. Speaker, that's on the lighter note anyway. Mr. Speaker, I don't know why we some of us in our current state don't appreciate what we have. Mr. Speaker, talking about Ita Road, boys harassing keke riders and motorists along that route. Mr. Speaker, I can authoritatively tell us here that recently the governor has handed over 3 parks in this state to the local government, and that is Ito local government, Uyo local government, and Oran local government. Initially, the state government used to have total control over the 3 parks, but just late last year, the state government has handed over the 3 parks to local government. I think if there is somebody to be blamed, people should ask chairman of the local government questions where necessary. Mr. Speaker, I was in River State last week. Fuel in River State is about 550 naira. Mr. Speaker, you can inquire. But here in Akwa Ibom State, we are buying fuel.
Where in River State did you buy fuel 500 naira? Where in River State
is on a very high side. So,
parliamentarian, I would like to know where exactly in River State did you buy fuel for 500 naira? Because I have people across River State, in particular.
Somebody, how much they sold fuel in River State last week? It was on Sunday that it was reduced to 350. It was on Sunday. But throughout last week, fuel in River State was 550. I talk authoritatively, call somebody in River State and ask of this. But here in Akwa Ibom State, we are buying for 300. Like I said, I am not comfortable. It's still on a very high side. But at least government has done well in this regard. I'm talking about the state government. They have done well in this regard. So at least we in Akwa Ibom State, we should need to appreciate the governor we have. I am grateful, Mr. Speaker, in ensuring that I enlightened our people to see the need for us to celebrate the governor that we have. Mr. Emmanuel is a man of sincerity. So we should need to appreciate and applaud him when necessary, not always condemning the governor. Some people say we didn't vote for the commissioner, we didn't vote for the SS. Yes, the governor has tried. Like I have said, those parks in those areas, local governments, go and ask the local government chairman what they are doing, not going to insult the governor.
Well, I'd like to clarify something. Nobody is insulting the governor. I want to believe so far nobody has called the governor names. The people are saying we voted for the governor, and the governor is the only people we know to be our leader. So where his foot soldiers are failing, we do not know them. We first and foremost know the person we voted for.
I'd like to quickly comment in on that. You know, I was in the back sometime last year. I was walking in the back sometime last year, and we had an issue like this. But this time it was around commercial motorcyclists, the Okada men. And then it was a ticket issue, a park issue. We had to reach out up until the local government chairman. And he initially refused to respond to issues of ticketing because most of the Okada men were complaining that the ticket prices were actually increased without proper information, being passed to them, and it took effect almost immediately. We reached out to the park chairman and those in charge of the ticketing agencies. Well, they kept on referring us to the next higher authority right up until the local government chairman, who through an aide told us that this is not his purview, that it's something for the Ministry of Transport in the state to look into, that when it concerns a park that has been put up or erected by the local government, it was going to respond to it. Or when it came to issues of ticketing that concerns his local government, they would respond to it. And I kept asking myself, the state government had actually put a ban on activities of commercial motorcyclists, and here is a local government chairman telling us to go inquire from the state governments about issues like this. So the lack of cohesion between the state and the local government here is a worrying concern that I think needs to be addressed. But in direct response to the last caller, yes, no one has called the governor names, but it's a responsibility on the part of the people to hold the government accountable. We're simply saying, but these are simply aides to the government or aides to the governor. There's only one man whose table the decisions are taken, and that is the #1 executive of the state. It's the governor. So they're only doing this so the cries could go to the governor direct. So he knows that the people are not happy, and by that way, it would probably chastise his own aide. So maybe the governor doesn't have a true picture of what is happening on the ground because of the information that has been fed to him. But if he gets to know that people are not happy, trust me, he's going to fire back at his commissioners, his special assistants, or special advisors, because it means he's been largely misinformed. So it's just like the issue of ticketing and maybe the lack of, or rather the cost of food prices in the States, with the comments made by the SA on trade. I don't want to believe that the state governor is not aware that this thing is actually happening, and then he would allow an essay on trade matter to give this kind of response, which has only helped in inflating the entire situation and making Akwa Ibomites pretty angry, because it looks like saying the government is handicapped here and cannot do anything. That is the conclusion I'm drawing from Mr. Raphael's comments, that unionism is responsible for the hike in the price of food prices in the state. It simply means that the government cannot take action. So who do we blame? The blame has to go to the state government. So with respect to the last parliamentarian, everyone is within their rights to make statements, and we always say keep your comments as constructive as possible, but you cannot say that people should not pass the blame or shift the blame to whose table it's supposed to.
All right, very well. So let's hear more from parliamentarians before we call it a wrap. Hello, good morning. Please turn on the volume of your radio set.
Hello?
Sorry, we lost connection there. Hello, good morning. Welcome to the plenary. Good morning, parliamentarian.
Get that essay of government, stop treating people, stop competing Akwa Ibom people. It's not the only essay that you always call here and start competing people. We have other essays who are not treating Akwa Ibom people. This essay, you promise one cup of that, you do not deliver. You should stop competing people. Governorship, if you are a governor, you are the leader of Akwa Ibom. You should make it easy for Akwa Ibom people. People are dying on the street. There's so much robbery because the money that comes here, we want us money. It's not touching the people, and it's not of Planet and this is essay. It's not the only essay. We have other people. It is the depending government. It will take more resources to the common people. The speaker you are doing well, God bless you. Majority leader, people to do well.
Thank you very much indeed.
All right, thank you. House leader, back to you.
Yes, we got some quick comments to give from our Facebook page. Samuel Iwook says, good morning, Mr. Speaker. INEC extended the deadline for PVC collection. It was obvious that there is no way INEC would have escaped the extension, though they had enough time to put modalities to accelerate the distribution of PVC, but they still failed. INEC should learn their lessons and make sure that this doesn't become a recurring decimal. It says they should adopt good methods and employ enough workers or added staff to assist them, and more centers should be created for registration and collection. All right, and this one says, where can I get my voter's card? All right, I think you should perhaps go to your unit or where you actually registered for eventual direction to where you can access your voter card. And let's quickly chip in a couple more comments before we wrap up. This one says, good morning, Mr. Speaker. I'm from Akwa Ibom Ward 4. When I went to my work to pick my PVC, they told me it's not ready. I did a transfer from Uyo here to my place. Please, Mr. Speaker, what should I do? When will my PVC be ready? I wish, Mr. Speaker, I had direct answers to that. But like I said, simply go back to where you had registered, and if you've not gotten sufficient answers as to where you can actually get them, then there's always an INEC office around your locality. You can actually go there, because I believe where you've actually gone to get your PVCs are merely designated centers. They are not INEC offices. So where you can get full clarification on these issues, simply go to INEC offices in your locality. All right, it's been an engaging discussion, and Mr. Speaker, we believe Nigerians and Akwa Ibomites, of course, are monitoring this development very keenly. One thing people need to know is that when people come out to talk like this, it's not because they just want to call into a program on radio and contribute. These are people with real-time issues and complaints that needs addressing Otherwise, we're going to have a massive crisis on our hands. Yesterday, we were talking about an electoral pandemic in the event of a vote buying. The food crisis or food pandemic is also on hand if the government doesn't do anything to stop this. There's a popular adage that says an hungry man is an angry man. And when you have a lot of angered people going into an election, trust me, you don't want to see the result. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All right, thank you very much, Hasley, there, for being here with us today. And of course, on behalf of parliamentarians, you're excused to your other responsibilities. And still taking more reactions from parliamentarians. Hello, good morning. Welcome to the plenary.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Speaker.
Good morning, parliamentarian.
Good morning, the leader in the house.
Yes, good morning.
From here. Mr. Speaker, what really bothers me is a topic that you bring to the People's Parliament concerning illegal motorcycles. Mr. Speaker, it's a sad scenario. In New York, Mr. Speaker, there is a certain body, a certain group of people say that the task force to eradicate illegal motorcycles. But believe me, Mr. Speaker, as a transporter, I need to tell you that those people have lived their own duty to now chase minibus drivers within New York. That particular task force is headed by Mr. Blessing. The place is at the Tampa. They will collect money in those illegal motor parks at Akwa Road, at the Road. Instead of to execute their duty, they will leave those people to load at that illegal motor park. Then they stop the city township truck drivers. They will, when they impound your vehicle, they will take it to a park. Then you will pay huge. Then the people that are even operating long distance, in which the body was set mainly, that transport was set mainly for them, they will be free because they have paid for their safety there. So they will leave them there. So corruption is everywhere, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for having me.
Many thanks for joining us. Hello, good morning. Welcome to the plenary.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker.
Good morning, parliamentarian.
My name is Julius Tachibo, calling from Yoruba.
Welcome. You have the floor.
Mr. Speaker, I want to talk about the area of governor. Let the ask the area of governor the money that is used to build his plaza instead of being using to do international market. And
sorry, we lost connection there. Hello, good morning. Welcome to the plenary.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, parliamentarian. All right, can you please speak up so we can hear you?
I am Victor Jetson.
All right, go ahead.
I'm calling from beside the track. This morning I've been here to get my voter's card. I've not gotten, nobody is there. So up to this moment, we are still waiting.
Okay, that's beside it a motor park or AKTC?
No, beside it a motor park before the flyover or before NNPC.
Okay. All right, we verify that information, of course, and maybe send one of our agents there to find out what exactly is happening, because INEC officials are supposed to report at their duty posts by 9 a.m. and it's almost 10 a.m. Many thanks for joining us and bringing that to our notice this morning.
You're welcome.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to the plenary.
good morning, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, good morning, all the parliamentarians.
My name
is Daniel from Mr. Speaker. I want to comment on the INEC for extending 3 more days to the citizens to collect their voter card. I want to advise the citizens to go out and get their voter card. And also, I want the citizens to engage all the candidates that are coming to campaign in their locality.
Sorry, we lost connection there, and that happens to be a last caller. In the words of the last parliamentarian who just called, please If you've not gotten your PVC, don't wait for the 11th hour for the last hour rush to go get your PVC. Go to your respective wards and get your PVC. And if you have any challenge, let us know. And also take it up with the INEC officials at your designated ward level. And of course, those situations will get to be answered. And for all of us in Akwa Ibom State, please let us be responsible citizens, because if we do not collectively build Akwa Ibom State, nobody's going to build it for us. My name is Francis Edet, and of course, on behalf of myself and the House Leader Raymond Ita, very much appreciate you for being there on a Facebook page, on the front lines, and of course, you who have listened online. God bless Akwa Ibom State, God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and God bless all parliamentarians. From us, is bye-bye.